Hello, fourth graders. If you are watching this right now, I noticed yesterday that you could use a little bit of extra help. So I'm hoping you will put on your braveness and your game face today and try to learn a little something more with me, even though I'm not with you in the classroom. So first I want you to look at this picture. What is the same and what is different? Now you're going to think, and I'm going to wait a second. I hope you noticed that there's two different colors. Eli, I heard that yesterday, remember? And then I also hope that you see that the same amount is shaded on both. There's the same amount is shaded. So here, how many are shaded? There's 6. 6 what? 6/10. I hear you guys. 6/10 are shaded on this grid. But 6/10 are also shaded on this grid. Can you see the tenths? If I grab my squiggle again, this is a tenth. My squiggle didn't quite work. And this line is a tenth. And this line is a tenth. But I also see it broken up into hundredths. But I don't see 6/100ths. I see 60/100ths. And I need to stretch my box out, don't I? So while the number is the same, it's represented differently because this picture shows 60/100ths and this one shows 6/10. Okie dokie? Okay, so let's go on to the next one. You have a packet in front of you and you can follow along and write all over it as I work with you. Some of the parts you're going to do alone, and some of them you're going to do with me. Okay, so this first one right here, we're going to do it together. We're going to write the fraction name, the decimal name, expanded form. We're going to ask a couple questions about the picture. So the first thing I want to do is just look at the picture. I see one whole grid box shaded. And then I see 3 out of 10 columns shaded. So my fraction is called 1 3/10. So I hope you're kind of following along and you can write that right on your packet because I want you to be able to follow along and see this so you can use this to help you later. So this is 1 3/10. As a decimal, the way that you write that Mrs. Moon moved her screen, didn't she? As a decimal, the way that you write that is 1 whole decimal 3. 1 3/10. In the place value chart, the 1 is in the ones column and the 3 is in the tenths column. Okay, that's your decimal name. Expanded form can be written a couple different ways, and here are the 2 different ways. I wrote both of them so that you could look at them with me. Okay, expanded form can be either written 1 plus 3/10. You're breaking up the place values. I have my wholes, my 1, and my tenths. So 1 plus 3/10, or if you want to do the fully expanded form, I've got 1, 1. Do you see the 1, 1? This yellow box is the whole 1, 1. And I've got 3 columns of 1/10. Over here, I've got 1 column, 1 column, and 1 column. So I've got 3 1/10. Those are the 2 different expanded forms that you can write. Either one is fine. Then I come over here to how many tenths. How many tenths are in this picture? Now, some of you yesterday said 3. Well, I do see 3/10 right here, okay? But I also see tenths over here. How many tenths are in this yellow picture? There's 10 of them. There's 10 tenths right here. And there's 3/10 over here. But that means that there are 13 tenths all together. So if yesterday you were having a little trouble keeping up with how in the world we got those numbers, you've got 10 tenths on the left and 3 tenths on the right. So that's 13 tenths. Okay? Then we're going to go and I'm going to lift this up. It keeps doing that. It's because I got a new computer and it's a little hard for me sometimes. So I'm going to lift that up. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate it so that I can think about hundredths now. Okay, and this is another area where I saw you a little bit confused yesterday. Well, if we're talking about hundredths, how many hundredths are in this box? This is our 1 whole. This is our 1 whole. Our 1 whole has how many hundredths? I hear some of you saying, Mrs. Moon, it has 100 hundredths. So I'm writing that. I hope that you'll catch up with me and write that too. So there's 100 hundredths and 10 tenths in this first box. Over here, I'm going to write how many hundredths there are. There's 30 hundredths on the right side. In the other part, I was listening to Miss Phipps yesterday, and she said they were making number bonds. This is one of the parts of your number bond. This is the other part of your number bond. You've got 100 hundredths. You've got 30 hundredths. So all together you have 130 hundredths. So I'll let you think about that for a second. I would write this down because on the next one you're going to do it alone or with someone that's in the group with you watching the same video. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go on, but you could always stop the video if you need to. Okay, now I'm going over here. So this is the one I want you to do with a partner that's doing the same video as you. You have the packet. I want you to do the same thing we just did with the yellow one. I want you to do it with the blue one. Okay, and I'm not going to give you the answers. So pause the video and fill out the fraction name, the decimal name, the hundredths, the tenths, and expanded form, and use the one before to help you. And you can pause the video now. Okay, you must have turned back on the video because we're going to come back and do one more of these, okay? I'm hoping this helps you today. Okay, the fraction name for this new picture is 2 wholes and 62. I know some of you probably have to count them. Mrs. Moon already knew there were 62 hundredths. So the fraction name looks like this: 2 wholes and 62 hundredths. The decimal name looks almost the same, and I watched students today not struggling with this so much. If you knew the fraction name, the decimal name was pretty easy to write for you. They look similar, don't they? Okay, 2 and 62 hundredths. Expanded form, remember, means that you are expanding it out by place value. So how many wholes, how many ones are there? There's 2. Do you see the 2 ones? This is 1 and this is 1. So I've got 2. Then I've got how many tenths? Now they're sideways. I'm hoping that doesn't confuse you. I've got 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths. And then how many hundredths do I have? 2 little itsy bitsy hundredths. So when I pull my expanded form over for you to see, you'll notice I did both expanded forms, and my video messed up for a second, but hold on, it'll come back. I did both expanded forms so you could see both of them. I know the bottom one is the one Mrs. Ferris worked with you really hard on. The top one is the same. It just doesn't have the place values, okay? So you've got 2 times 1, 2 ones, 6 of the tenths, and 2 of the hundredths. Okay? Okay, last. How many hundredths are in this picture altogether? Well, how many hundredths are in this first whole? 100. And so if I'm writing 100 hundredths, there's 100 of them. Well, how many hundredths are here? There's another 100. I hear you guys. Well, then how many hundredths are over here? Now, this one's the one that not many people were struggling with yesterday. There's just 62. You already knew there were 62 hundredths over here. But I want to know how many hundredths are all together. So there are 262 hundredths. Okay? And I keep getting off the screen, but that's okay. Okay, I want you to try one. So pause the video. I want you to try it with the red one. And you can totally work with a partner. And when you get done today, you're actually going to give this packet to me so I can see how you did. Okay? Okay, so now hopefully you pause the video to do the red one. I want you to try to do 1 or 2 of the next 3. So I've got a couple different challenges for you. Okay? This one says, shade the base 10 grids to represent, I'll read it with you, this might help you, 180 hundredths. So what would that look like down here? 180 hundredths. Try it. And then if you want to, try the next one. And this one you've got to read, and I'm not going to read it for you. I'm going to let you try to read it. So I'm giving you lots of base 10 grids. You might not need them all, okay? Okay, and then the last one I gave it to you as a fraction, a mixed number. So I want you to shade. Well, I'm not going to read it. I want you to have to read it. So shade this amount in these grids. You might not need all the grids. I just gave you some so that I wouldn't give it away. Okay? So you've got 3 that you can try, or you can just try one of them. It's up to you, whatever you have time for. I want you to be working with someone else, okay? So that you're getting some help from a partner that's watching the video along with you, okay? After you're done with this, you're going to move on to your next task in Google Classroom, okay, which is looking at the problem set from yesterday. I hope this helped. You're going to go back. You can watch this video as much as you want, okay? You can go back to all the slides that we worked on and see all of our different answers, okay? Okie dokie.